Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another coffee rant with Dano and Frank, our Patriot Bald Eagle. Something very fishy is going on, something very strange, and I have put off talking about it for long enough. We need to discuss this, and I do believe it's a potential problem. Not really too sure what to think of this, though. We're going to get right into it. There's been a lot of you that have been asking me to talk about this. The recalls. What is going on? All the different food recalls that we have had over the last year and a half, 2 years. It has amounted to a massive amount of food recalls. Different things in the food, from allergens to undeclared products, to products being in wrong labels, to foreign materials in products, to all the way to the different accounts of Salmonella, E. coli, and some of the biggest one over the last year has been Listeria. Well, there's been a pause on, I guess, the FDA on letting out information on foodborne illnesses. So, and what little bit of information is out there, I came across, and I was talking to my mom about this earlier, and some of the things why I've kind of refrained from talking about this, because you guys know when we have something to talk about, especially in one of our coffee rants, this is where we get down to serious business. This is things that we need to discuss that greatly affects our viewers on the channel, because mostly we talk about food. We talk about saving money. We talk about different things going on in the world of food, as to where prices have gotten virtually unaffordable for a lot of different families. We always try to find the best deals, but at the same time, we need to make sure that the products that we're buying in the stores are safe. Over the last couple days, as most of you know, I get alerts. About different recalls. And I have noticed over the last couple days, I have had several just constantly popping up. Some of you guys have gotten on here and said the same thing. A lot of us get the same kind of alerts either from the FDA or some other sites like USA Today, Newsweek, Food Safety News, some of these other ones that we frequent. Now, what has happened is a lot of these recalls, and the reason why we're not really going over them is because these are all recalls from months ago. What is the difference now? Well, what we're noticing is that the classifications of these recalls have gotten to, some of them have gotten to the highest level, which would be a Class 1 recall. Now, up until the last year and a half, I never noticed any kind of classes on recalls. This was something new. Maybe, or something that they never discussed. And I kind of thought that it was a little strange a year ago when we started noticing this more and more. We would see different classes on recalls. First of all, if there's a recall on a product, take it back. Get your money back. Whether it's a class 3, 2, 1, whatever, take it back. We've talked about this in several videos over the last year. Probably over 100 or more. A couple hundred videos. We've covered food recalls, an insane amount of food recalls over the last year. I think if I haven't done the numbers, I don't know, but I know that over 2024, it is the most food recalls that I've ever seen in my lifetime. And that's just food. We've seen a lot of videos a lot of recalls on vehicles. You guys always comment these things. Thank you. Always feel free to let us know everything going on, not just food in the comments. Let us know all the other things that are going on. But the last couple days, I have seen all of the different recalls that we have talked about over the last couple months are now boom, 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 turning into a Class 1 recall. We see where the Lay's chips, which was a recall well over a month ago, that now has popped up as a Class 1 recall for, I think it was for milk. For milk. Sure, if you can't do milk or any kind of lactose, then you might have wanted to stay away from that. But these have already been passed, right? And these are brought up because in case they're still in your fridge or still on your counter, right? It's good to know these things. These are things that we talked about months ago, though. And I do pay attention to these every day. I still look for everything that is going on in the stores, whether something is on recall or not. and I haven't seen anything new. Nothing. There were a couple things in January where the different milk, I think some of the Horizon milk was on recall, but that's over with. But we're getting more classifications, right? And it's like, what is going on? Is this more testing they're trying to find out? Has this pause, which is supposed to, from what I understand, this pause on the different foods, that it's supposed to have a pause on the communication of this. It's supposed to end on February 1st. So I'm curious when February 1st rolls around, which is in just a couple days, what we're going to see and what is really going on. Another reason why I've been hesitant to talk about any of this is because I don't like talking about things that I don't have answers to. I don't want to sit here and even though we bring aware, not to scare. That's what we always say. But if I don't know the information, well, I'm not going to put it out here if I'm not sure if it's 100% legit or not. Even with some of the recalls that have happened over the last year or so, some of them have seemed kind of fishy, right? Some of them have seemed fishy. And the fact that they're taken down as fast as they're pretty much given out, or, and we've seen it through all stores. We've seen it at Walmart. We've seen it at Aldi. We've seen it at Kroger. Kroger, not as much. I always say this about Kroger. Kroger, especially on their own products, we don't usually see many recalls because of the rigorous work, lab work and stuff that Kroger does on their products. I was, like I said, I was hesitant to even do this video, but I just wanted to bring the information out there because there's been hundreds of you guys that have been commenting, tagging me and things and stuff like that. And I just wanted to share my thoughts. I don't really have an opinion on it because there's nothing really to talk about. The only opinion that I have is that there is something going on. Now, a lot of you have said that. We've seen factories close. We've seen things with Tyson, where Tyson has closed plants. We saw things with Smithfield, where they were just randomly closing these places altogether. When we thought it was the numbers, when we thought it was money, and then it's like, there's a little more to that. Look at Boar's Head, right? I know I sound like a broken record when I talk about Boar's Head, but that was a major issue. That was a major issue. From what we understand and from what we gathered, okay, the information that we gathered from many different sites that were covering this, mostly from the FDA and CDC and some of these other sites, we were finding out these unsanitary conditions, right? Now, that's easy to do when you work in a meat plant, right? I mean, it's real easy for any kind of illness, especially listeria, to spread. Let's not forget that Boar's Head was the cause of 10 deaths and many, many hospitalizations. So the fact that all of these companies are under investigation, I'm glad. I'm glad that all of these companies are under investigation for whatever is coming because this cannot be tolerated. Now, the plant, I believe it was the one out in Virginia. I'm not 100% on that. But the one that was shut down was the one, because I remember the first case of listeria that had popped up from Boar's Head, and Boar's Head was shrugging it off like it was no big deal. I had even talked to a representative from Boar's Head that I ran into in a random store that said it wasn't a big deal. And it wasn't long after that we found out that 10 people have died from listeria, that it was traced back to the Boar's Head liverwurst, but even beyond that, because listeria can spread from one product to another. That's why we have talked about this. We've talked about the cleaning process, call the company. They may not even want you to bring it back to the store. Some companies will say, take a photo of it, and we'll give you your money back. They don't want you to bring it into the store. I don't blame them. Now, over the last year or two, we have also been keeping all of our receipts for everything. So there is solid proof that I bought it from your store. Now, there are companies that really have no problem with this. One of them being Aldi. Aldi is, in my opinion, that is number one when it comes to anything. Aldi will take a return on something that you don't like. They will take a return. I don't, either you can get another one, but I've heard from a lot of you guys that even with Aldi, you don't even need a receipt. They know which product it is anyway. You can take it back if you don't like something. I think you can just get your money back. Like, they'll just give you your money back. I think. Some may be different, but I have always heard that with Aldi. Now, Walmart, if you can fight the line of customer service, they've always been really good with this too. So is Kroger. Problem with Kroger is that their customer service deals with a lot of other things, like people coming in there to pay different bills and stuff like that. So customer service line at any Kroger can get very long, as most of you know who shop at Kroger. I have had to deal with customer service 1,000 times over the years, but I don't overpay either. I saw something wrong on my receipt the other day at Kroger, and I was like, it was only $2. And I saw the line, and I'm like, ugh. So what I did, I kind of meandered around Kroger for a little while, waited till I saw the line die down, and I got in line. I got my $2 back. We got to do this, guys, because if we don't, they win, right? And especially with recalls. We always talk about when you have something recalled, always get your money back. Because if there is anything fishy, if there is anything strange going on, well, then they're paying for it. When companies like this, when big, huge companies start losing money and they notice it, then things will get solved. And that could very well be what this problem or resolution is coming to be. A lot of people have been taking the products back. Excuse me. Whoa. Excuse me. Taking a lot of the products back and getting their money back. It may not have been a big deal when things were 50 cents or $1 3 or 4 years ago. But now things have doubled. Grocery prices have doubled. I remember when I started talking about this years ago, people were going to say, a lot of people in the comments, and I understand some people were probably just, guessing or just saying, oh, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. Well, I stand, my hat's off to you because it got worse. Prices have nearly doubled on just about everything. Not everything. And we have seen some prices come down, and hopefully things start moving in the right direction. Hopefully. But and I know it's been a long time since we've done a coffee rant. I've been kind of, because of this, haven't really want to talk about this, and I was kind of waiting. I was waiting for that moment. For that moment where things kind of slip up, and I feel like they slipped up. I got massive amount of notifications from different classes of recalls. And it makes me wonder that have these been compiling for the last 2 or 3 months, and now all of a sudden, they're all class 1. So, like the salmon, the salmon from Costco. How long ago was that? I mean, we talked about all this. We talked about returning it. Costco's great with returning products. They don't want you having a bad product in your home. They were all over the news. The thing with the eggs, they were all over the news about it. They weren't trying to hide anything. And I think that is a major problem, is that a lot of people are trying to hide, or a lot of people are trying to scare. It could be one of a million different things. One of a million different things. But the fact that whatever this is, whatever this pause is, which seems strange, feel free to let us know down in the comments your opinions. Let us know what you think. Keep it PG-13, please. It really boggles the mind that all of this stuff that has been happening over 2 years now. I mean, it's been the recalls, in my opinion, it started with a lot of companies closing, and we didn't have a lot of information of what was going on. I always have different thoughts in my head. Well, okay, they're probably running the business wrong, or maybe they're hiring people that aren't up to date on our health codes or things like that. I mean, all kinds of things go across your mind, right? I mean, it's not just me. I think I can speak for most people who are watching this video that you have different thoughts of why these things are happening, why these products keep getting on recall? Why so much of this now? I even went as far a few months ago as to say, well, maybe the testing has become greater, right? Maybe it has gotten bigger. There's things happening. Maybe hospitals are calling in to the CDC and the FDA or whoever, or the health officials, and they're saying, hey, look, we've got a ton of different salmonella cases here. Something's going on. Or we have a ton of different listeria cases. Maybe there's more rigorous training and research. This is what we were talking about. But as I was saying that stuff, I'm like, no, this seems like something bigger. Something maybe darker. And as to where, I'll keep some of my opinions, quiet, calm, because this feels like the deep breath before the storm. This feels like the quiet, right? It's been quiet. Kind of like how I've been with the coffee rants. I've been quiet because there's been no real information to talk about some of this stuff. Even right now, having this conversation with you, I virtually have no real information to warrant anything that I'm saying right now that has any truth to it at all. This is just talking about it because this is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm hearing. Now, whatever this order is for them not to discuss some of this stuff, I have to imagine, like, to discuss any new recalls or anything like this, I have to imagine that some kind of investigation is being done. Now, you don't want to scare people, right? That's not here either. We're not trying to scare nobody. But because of all of these different recalls that we have seen over the last year and a half, 2 years that we've been covering on this channel rigorously, I just want to make sure that that you bring it to your attention, that you check with maybe your local stores. Make sure you always keep an eye out for safety notices, because these stores, whether we know or not, places like Kroger, Meijer, Walmart, Aldi, they're going to know. They're going to know of a recall well before we do. I've noticed a few things too at Kroger, and let me know if you have also. We always like to point out, and this is something good that Kroger does. They always put the little sorry for the inconvenience stickers when we see a product that's been missing for a while. They don't want to get rid of the shelf space until they're 100% sure that they're not going to get the product back in. Kroger is a big enough store where they can do that. It's why we do this comparison. I have been noticing more and more inconvenience stickers. I've been noticing products just kind of off the shelves. Today, I was at Kroger, and I was literally talking about pet food, and I was like, oh, nobody's talked about pet food lately. Maybe it's okay. And then I start noticing some pet food missing, some different, inconvenience stickers. I'm thinking to myself, wow, there's been no recalls, right? Because we've had recalls on pet food as well. Lots of them over the last year. Lots of them. Some really expensive brands. In my head, growing up, and this is kind of just what, information that people feed you over the years, oh, well, the store brand isn't as good as the name brand. The store brand cuts corners. They do this, they do that. And nowadays I'm finding that more and more to not be true. I probably buy way more Kroger brand now than I ever have. Why? Because I actually trust the product. Look at Quaker. Quaker, all the granola bars and everything, all those little snacks and everything over a year ago when it was salmonella, right? Salmonella, the product that is cooked out and burned out. People were leaving whatever things they could think of into the comments saying, oh, well, it's on the plastic. Well, okay, but you're delivering the heated product and sealing the plastic. That should kill salmonella, right? Or the cantaloupes. When we had the cantaloupes, where it all started, if you guys have been on the channel for a while, right? Or if you remember a year and a half ago, there was the whole thing. Nobody knew what was going on. There was salmonella being found in pre-cut products, pre-cut fruits, right? Which can happen, right? Mistakes happen. But then we found out that it was cantaloupe all over the country. At that point, with the pre-cuts, they were just saying, don't eat any of the pre-cuts, because they basically, without saying, We don't know what the heck it is. We're finding it in pre-cut fruits. Excuse me. So that bought a little bit of time for the FDA or whoever to do some research and find out where it was coming from. We found out it was some cantaloupes coming from Mexico that had spread out all over the entire country, all over Canada, all over Guam, and Puerto Rico, just all over the place. It was everywhere. It was everywhere. But it got out fast enough that people were informative about it. Channels like mine and hopefully others were putting it out there, putting the word out there. And nobody was buying these cantaloupes, which, I was staying away from them. I'm doing videos showing prices. I'm like, go over here, and for a little while there, we didn't even see cantaloupe. So a lot of them weren't coming down. They really weren't sure at the beginning what it was. So people were just staying away from watermelon and cantaloupe, I guess. So a year of recall reviews, guys. It's been one heck of a year for things that have been either just not good. I want to say so many things, but I know to keep a lot of opinions off of the channel here. It's sickening for a lot of these different things, and we've gone over a lot of these different things. We've seen other things where it's like, oh, well, if a piece of machinery or a glove or something gets cut off into a product, a glove pieces. Remember, there was a product that, a glove had fell and they said, oh, we got to recall these. And then all of a sudden we're finding metal wire in chicken patties and then plastic pieces, all in thousands of pounds of Tyson chicken nuggets, the little dinosaur ones, the ones that are advertised for children. And what kills me is that a lot of these items were mentioned a month after. We were reading about them and it was like, oh, back in September, and we're finding out about it in October. I mean, and the reasoning for this is, oh, they could be in your fridge. We need to let you know because it'll be in your fridge. Thanks for the warning. Or some of these other ones too. Remind me down in the comments, because I'll tell you what, guys, it has been so much, and I've taken notes. I don't have them here in front of me, but look at all the products where they were like, oh, something's happened. We don't know what it is yet, but stay tuned. Right? Remember that one? Which one was it that we were talking about? Really not that long ago, few months ago. It was one case like I don't think that was the boar's head one. It was one after that. A boar's head. I'll tell you what. I don't know. I have not even looked at boar's head since this whole thing went down. I really haven't. I just, the negligence. And I'm going to paint a little picture here for you, okay? So the description of this place, okay? Let's not forget. Water dropping on meat. Fans blowing water or whatever on meat. Dropping to the floor. Blood piles on the floor. Not, like I've said before, meat plants, they can be kind of rigorous to clean up and stuff like that. But there were so many different health violations. It was ridiculous. They say they closed the plant down. They were forced to close that plant down. And I'll tell you what, if there needs to be an investigation in all of this, then bring it on. Because this has been way too ridiculous on all of these different food recalls. You could think to yourself, oh, things are getting better. Maybe. I gotta admit, when I went 2 or 3 days without seeing a recall pop up in my notifications, I was like, wow, is something happening here? What's going on? This is awesome. No food recalls for a week. Go back and look through the hundreds of videos that we've covered on food recalls over the last year. It is absolutely insane. Tagging every news article and everything that I covered within that process. So if you want to check out some of those different news articles, like I've said before, we always read from a lot of them that were pretty good. that were pretty strong and still pretty strong. USA Today, Food Safety News is a good one. Newsweek is okay. It's one we do frequent though, because they cover a lot of these things. They basically, these are the guys, right? These are the different news guys that can get out there and maybe get some information for us. Get some information from one of the higher ups. They could just be lying. The people owning the company, they're going to CYA, right? Or CYB, going to cover their butts. I don't know, guys. It's a lot of you guys were wanting me to talk about this, so this is it. This is all I got. This is all I got right now. If I get any more information, we'll continue to talk about it. Maybe in a future coffee rant here. We just have to pay attention. Pay attention, because I don't believe these things have stopped, right? But I also don't believe that things are being done the correct way all the time. So with that, I know that basically leaves us in a whirlwind of we don't know what's going on, but the not knowing is the knowing that we need to still pay attention. We've gone through a lot of this over the last year or two, and I find it very hard to believe that just within the last few weeks it has come to a screeching halt and nothing else is going on. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great night.